dark blue. You left me here when our time was through. And under the covers, beneath of the surface, I can't find the others who work out my purpose. I'm in the deep dark blue. I'm in the deep dark blue. Dark blue.
Welcome, race fans, to Homestead-Miami Speedway for the YCS Cup Series Season 2 finale. For 4 drivers, it's been a long journey to get to this point, but here they are with a chance to win the championship. Let's meet our contenders, starting with the most recent winner, Carl Edwards. He's been the most consistent driver of the season so far, and he comes into this race on 9 top 10s in a row. So talk about momentum. And of course, the Phoenix winner, a 7.3 average finish on the season, and he's led 26 laps. Carl Edwards looks to close out his fantastic season. Of course, he won the regular season championship as well. And how about Chase Elliott? He'll start in 5th. He got 1 win this season. It was the opening race, the Daytona 500. But since the playoffs have started, he's actually been pretty consistent. Hasn't finished too terrible, but 15.2 average finish on the season for the 24 car. Joey Logano, no wins on the season, but he's also had some consistency at 10.5 average finish. He's only led 9 laps, but here he is, no wins, yet he's made it to the final round. Can he get his first win of the season in this one? And then finally, Jimmie Johnson, who qualified 11th, but he'll have to start in the rear for unapproved adjustments. But boy, has he had a fantastic season. 6 wins, 3 of which have been in the playoffs. But if he's going to defend his title, he'll have to do it from the rear of the field. All right, full lineup, another non-playoff pole position. That's Kyle Larson up front, Carl Edwards there in 2nd, Martin Truex Jr. and Kyle Busch in row 2, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski row 3, Denny Hamlin and Joey Logano row 4, and Jamie McMurray and Kurt Busch in row 5. Row 6 would have Jimmie Johnson, but he's to the back for unapproved adjustments. Greg Biffle's there in row 6, Trevor Bayne, Matt Kenseth row 7, Kevin Harvick, Dale Earnhardt Jr. row 8, Eric Almirola, Clint Bowyer row 9, and Ryan Newman and Casey Kane in row 10. Row 11, Ryan Blaney, Austin Dillon, Danica Patrick and Chris Buescher row 12, Ty Dillon and Paul Menard row 13. Behind them, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. and Tony Stewart. And then row 15, it's Landon Castle and AJ Allmendinger. Row 16, Brian Scott, David Reagan. Row 17, Michael McDowell and Justin Allgaier, Matt DiBenedetto and Jeffrey Earnhardt row 18. And then Casey Mears and Regan Smith finish off the field in row 19. Before the drop of the green flag, the YCS Cup Series drivers will do the 4-wide salute to you guys, the fans, for all your support in yet another long season. Thank you all for sticking around. I hope you've had as much fun as I have, and I look forward to more racing action in the future. All right, let's go racing one more time in Season 2. The green flag is in the air. Let's crown a champion. And Carl Edwards puts it all the way up against the fence, slingshots around Kyle Larson through 1 and 2. Carl Edwards will take the lead here on lap 1. And already putting up a gap between he and second place Kyle Larson. A great start for the 19. He looks fast as he leads lap 1. Further back here, we'll see Chase Elliott and then Joey Logano there in 7th. He's battling Denny Hamlin as they enter turn 1. Up on the outside is the 22, Hamlin keeping up on the inside as they go down the back straightaway. Joey Logano get around him. He's got a teammate in front of him. Brad Keselowski's going to drop down and block Denny Hamlin. That's going to let Joey Logano go to the outside. So Logano will pick up a spot there as his teammate lets him through. Battle for third just in front of Joey Logano. That's Kyle Busch, Martin Truex Jr., and championship contender Chase Elliott. He's going to push Kyle Busch down the back straightaway to try and get around the 78. So Kyle Busch clear for third, and now the 24 of Chase Elliott will drive around Martin Truex Jr., and he's got a run on Kyle Busch. He'll take it to the inside as they enter turn one. Chase Elliott trying to catch Carl Edwards for the championship as he gets around Kyle Busch for third. But I don't know that he can catch Carl Edwards. Look at the 19 car, blistering pace out front for Carl Edwards as he hits lap traffic and leads lap 4. Man, he is quick. Right up against the wall. That's where all the speed is here. It's kind of dangerous to be up there in case you get loose or hit the wall, but he's doing a great job. And how about an update on Jimmie Johnson from the back? He's driven up to 11th as he goes around Greg Biffle and Kurt Busch, but he's still 4th in the championship. And with how fast we saw Carl Edwards going, I don't know if he has any chance to get up towards the front. But he's driven up into the top 10 now as Chase Elliott gets passed back by Kyle Busch. He's loose in the middle there, 3 wide with lap traffic. Now Joey Logano trying to get him on the outside. So Logano will take second in the championship if he can get around. Look at Jamie McMurray up against the wall. No, he's loose. He's into the wall. He's sideways through turn 4. He's going to save it and get to pit road, but he's got a flat tire. They're going to have to change that up, but no caution came out as Jamie McMurray loses it through turn 4. But a miraculous save. He got to pit road, and he's off as Joey Logano battles Kyle Busch for third. This could be an important pass for Joey Logano. If a caution comes out, he'll line up right behind Carl Edwards for the restart. But if that McMurray spin wasn't a caution, I don't know what would bring out a caution, as Logano does clear Kyle Busch there for third. As we see the field flying around this track. But here's a pass for 5th. Jimmie Johnson finally caught a championship contender. That puts him in 3rd for the championship, 5th on the track. But it's too little too late for the 48 because Carl Edwards is gone right now as he comes across turn 4 to take the white flag. 1 to go in the championship for Carl Edwards. What a dominant race we've seen from the 19, and the caution is out. The caution has come out on the last lap. It's Jeffrey Earnhardt who's blowing up on the backstretch, and this race is not over. A repeat of what happened in Phoenix. The caution comes out on the last lap with Carl Edwards leading. And very specific rules in the YCS Cup Series for overtime. The race must end under green, which is why when the caution comes out here on the last lap, it is not over. So one more lap will be added. There is now an 11th lap of the race. And the leader, Carl Edwards, must restart from the inside lane. The leader does not have lane choice. So a quick caution as Jeffrey Earnhardt takes it to the garage. Green flag back in the air. They're blocking down low. Carl Edwards into the wall. He got tagged by the 22. Big hits by the 19. And the caution comes back out again. And that is exactly what we saw Joey Logano try to do in Phoenix. Carl Edwards was able to hang on and win in the desert. But here at Homestead, his championship is over. A dominant performance from Carl Edwards. This is the most dominant I've ever seen a driver in the YCS Cup Series. He had almost a half lap or more of a lead on Kyle Larson before this caution came out. But Joey Logano has been so aggressive all season long. He's made these moves on restarts. Carl Edwards to block him for the championship. This is for the Season 2 championship. Carl Edwards has to block the 22 there. But Logano holds his ground and Carl Edwards gets taken out in dramatic fashion. A lot of cleanup work to be done. But it begs the question, they didn't throw the caution for Jamie McMurray yet. Jeffrey Earnhardt gets the caution. He didn't even spin. Maybe there was oil on the track or what, but it was the last lap, and they still called the caution anyway. But here, really slowed down replay. Joey Logano, as soon as he gets to the line, there he is on the inside. Carl Edwards, it's too late to block. Joey Logano holds his ground, as I said, and Carl Edwards noses into the wall and comes back up. Actually makes contact with Joey Logano. Logano may have damage. We'll have to see about that after this replay, but huge hits on Carl Edwards as he collects the field. Multiple cars involved. Look at Greg Biffle in his final race in the YCS Cup Series. He makes it through, but unbelievable here in overtime. And this race is still not over. This is the first ever second attempt at overtime in the YCS Cup Series. But Joey Logano, the championship leader, with a flat tire under caution. He's going to have to pit. Here he comes to his pit stall. Unbelievable that he has to give up the championship lead to fix his flat tire. As we see Carl Edwards up on the wrecker, he's getting towed to the garage. Even though Joey Logano has to pit here, with how many cars are on the lead lap and how many just got knocked out, he's going to restart in the top 10 still. He's in 8th place, so he's not too far back. He could still win this championship, and he'll have fresh left side tires. But unfortunate for Carl Edwards, the dominant driver of any race. And here he is getting knocked out. Yeah, look at the number of cars taken out in this one. But Jamie McMurray gets the free pass on this caution. I failed to mention Trevor Bayne got the free pass on the Jeffrey Earnhardt caution. But only 9 cars on the lead lap, and it's Jimmie Johnson who's inherited the championship lead as we take the white flag again. Kyle Larson leads him into turn 1. Johnson ahead of Chase Elliott. Look at Joey Logano on the top, 3 wide. What a move from the 22 as Johnson goes for the lead against Kyle Larson. Heading into turn 3, the caution is back out again. Ricky Stenhouse spinning on the backstretch. He's into the inside wall. And that means another restart. This will be our 3rd attempt at overtime. What an insane restart, though. We'll look at it again after we see what happened to Ricky Stenhouse Jr. He's on the bottom 3 wide, comes up into Paul Menard and takes himself out. He'll hit the inside wall, and now I'm not sure what the YCAS officials are doing. I guess they're trying to be consistent, but to be honest, 1 lap, it doesn't take much to complete 1 lap in this series. I think maybe it's aggressive safety-wise to just let Stenhouse sit there, but I think they could have got away without throwing the caution so many times. But look at this move by Joey Logano on the restart all the way at the top. He passed 4 cars in the first 2 corners. Can he have a stellar restart like that again and challenge Jimmie Johnson for the championship? So here we go. Overtime attempt number 3. Here they go. Great restart by both the 48 and the 22. Kyle Larson drops back in second, but he fights back on the outside. Here comes the 4 of Kevin Harvick racing that 22 hard. Jimmie Johnson out front. Here they go through 3 and 4. He's going to do it. Jimmie Johnson is going to win the YCAS Cup Series Season 2 Championship. He defends his title and goes back to back. As we look at the final lap again. A great restart on the inside. Joey Logano trying to replicate what he did on the restart before. But Kevin Harvick, his rival all season long, does not cut him a break. Forces him down on the apron. Kevin Harvick does not let Joey Logano win the championship, which gives it all to Jimmie Johnson. He's clear from Larson off of 4. And Jimmie Johnson will win his 2nd YCAS Cup Series championship and will burn it down at Homestead-Miami Speedway. Jimmie Johnson becomes a 2-time champion. He wins the race and the championship ahead of Joey Logano, who will get 2nd in the championship and end his season with no wins. Chase Elliott 3rd in the championship, and then Carl Edwards, who got wrecked out. We'll see him later. But Greg Biffle and Tony Stewart, both in their last seasons, get top 10s. That is Tony Stewart's first top 10 of the season. So congrats to him. It'll be his only top 10 of the season. And he actually got the free pass on the Ricky Stenhouse caution. I failed to mention that. But great result for him. And the big mover of the race, we didn't see any green because that's obviously Jimmie Johnson, who started this race in the rear with those unapproved adjustments. So he got sent back from his 11th place qualifying, but ran all the way up to the front. Obviously had help from that Jeffrey Earnhardt caution. We saw Carl Edwards will get a 29th place result, but that does not show how dominant of a car he had all race long. Led every lap in regulation, just couldn't get it done in overtime. As Jimmie Johnson continues to celebrate at the finish line, we'll take a look at the official season standings. Top 4 in the standings, obviously the final 4, but take a look at Carl Edwards. Everything in yellow is the leader in that stat, and Carl Edwards led in every major stat. Did not have the most wins. Jimmie Johnson with his win today, he has 7, and he didn't lead in average start, but led in every other category. And in DNFs, he had the least amount, tied with a few other drivers. He just had the one, which was in today's race. Here's the rest of the playoff drivers, and then starting with the guys who did not make the playoffs, the Chip Ganassi cars, 17th, 18th. They had pretty good seasons. You see Kyle Larson had a lot of top 5s, a lot of top 10s between the two. But I expect those two to do big things in Season 3. We'll see if they can make the playoffs. And then here we see a couple of our Rookies of the Year. That's right, we had the Rookie of the Year battle. We'll get to that. But obviously, Ryan Blaney is 7 positions ahead of the next contender, Chris Buescher. Buescher did not have a top 10 on his campaign. Ryan Blaney had 2 there. And then we see Danica Patrick led in DNFs, tied with Jimmie Johnson. So the champion also had the most crashes this season, tied with Danica Patrick, who ends up 32nd in the points. And there we see the rest of our rookies. And then the 2 part-timers, Cole Witt and David Gilliland. Both of them only ran 2 races each this year. And here are the Rookie of the Year battles. It was not close. Ryan Blaney led pretty much the entire season and over 100 points to Chris Buescher. I guess it was slightly closer from Buescher on back. But yeah, there's where our 6 rookies stand. Ryan Blaney is the first ever Rookie of the Year winner in the YCS Cup Series. But yeah, that's it from Homestead-Miami Speedway. Thank you all so much for sticking around for such a long, grueling season. Hopefully the next season isn't too long, but we'll see. But again, thanks for stopping by, and I will see you at the next race.
Is this on? Yep. Either way. All right. So I'm stepping away from full-time driving in the Cup Series, and I'm not taking any questions, so thanks for coming.